Hello everyone, this is Fine from Awesome Tech Gaming Pro. Today I'm going to talk about the Sony Bravia X85K and the Sony Bravia X90K. You see the two TV, the left side is Sony X90K and the right side is Sony X85K. You know, X85K is placed between the X80K and the Bravia X90K. And by looking at the specifications, I don't find any major differences from last year. In fact, I could say that on paper the X85K is exactly the same as was the X85J compared to the X80K. The X85K has many similarities but also a couple of major differences. The 100 to 120 Hz panel and the HDMI 2.1 ports, to be more specific, which the X80K is missing. Going over the specifications, I see that X85K is a LED LCD TV using a 120 Hz VIA panel with a direct LED backlight system, while processing duties are handled by the familiar X1 4K HDR processor. The TV supports both HDR10 and Dolby Vision, uses a simple 2.0 channels audio system with X-balanced speakers, and comes with the latest Google TV. For another year, the X85K is the most affordable Sony TV that includes HDMI 2.1 ports. So if you are a gamer on a tight budget, this may be the ideal one for you. From all the above, I'm curious to see if there is any actual performance difference between the X85K and the 2021 X85J. So without any further delay, let's start my analysis. The X85K is very similar to both X85J and this year's X80K. But looking close to the designs, I can say that it borrows the X80K's look and to a lesser degree last year's offering, as there are some minor differences between the two, but not big enough to be of any importance. Overall build quality and materials are the usual you should expect from such a low category. Everything seems sturdy. The TV's overall thickness was measured around 2.8 inch, making it slim enough to look nice when placed on a wall. Also, the connection ports are all looking sideways, but these are still hard to reach in case you want to wall mount the TV. The borders around the panel have the typical thickness for a low-cost model, so I don't expect to find these extremely thin borders than some top releases come with. The back of the X85K features Sony's familiar checkerboard design in order to make it a little bit more interesting, although this is not a site that you are going to look at very often. On the far right, the connection ports. On the far left, the power connector, and in the middle, the VESA wall mount holes. A pretty standard layout among many Sony models. If you see X85K's video quality, it is using the same X1 4K HDR processor that is being used by both the X80K. And the 2021 X85J, I'm expecting more or less very similar performance when it comes to its processing capabilities. Although I cannot be certain if this is exactly the same chip as the X85J was using last year. But looking at the specification sheet, it seems to support all the same features, so it is highly likely that Sony hasn't changed anything here, meaning that in terms of picture processing, the new model is like for like with the two above mentioned models. One of the characteristics of the X1 processor is object-based HD remaster, with which the color in individual objects on screen is analyzed and the contrast adjusted. Unlike most TVs where contrast is only adjusted along one black to white contrast curve, because objects are remastered individually, this TV can reproduce greater depth, textures, and more real pictures. There is also dynamic contrast enhancer, which automatically adjusts contrast settings according to your environment in order to provide clear and more defined colors. The TV also uses Sony's 4K XReality Pro. By using this picture processing technology, the X85K is able to upscale any kind of source content up to 4K without any loss of information or introduction or upscaling artifacts. 4K XReality Pro is using a variety of noise reduction techniques to sharpen and refine images, while patterns in images are compared with patterns stored in a unique database to find the best hue, saturation, and brightness for each pixel. As we always do in this review, the X85K threw a series of tests by using lower quality and resolution content in order to determine how everything shows up in 4K. This included videos in 480p, 720p, and X100p, along with broadcasting material. Keep in mind that the quality of the source material is always important, but from what I saw, the X85K upscaled everything nicely, and I didn't notice any abnormal behavior during testing. So compared to the X90K, X90K is a full array local dimming TV. It's superior TV for SDR and HDR, which actually X85K lacks in that department. And X90K is so bright and vivid, and also it has a local dimming feature, so you have an advantage X90K over X85K. Looking at the ports layout, I can say the X90K is almost the same as the X90J, with only one omission, the analog stereo output, which seems to be gradually taken out of the all TVs this year. And not just Sony ones, everything else seems to have remained the same. Going from top to bottom, I get two USB ports for connecting external storage or powering various devices, a digital optical audio output for connecting older equipment that do not support HDMI connections, a composite video into 4 HDMI ports for connecting all your devices on Ethernet port for wired connection to your network. And if you consider the fact that one of the HDMI 2.1 ports is also the one that provides ER, then things get a bit tricky if you have a lot of gaming devices to connect. This is a problem with all manufacturers that don't use their own SoC like LG and Samsung and have to rely on third-party solutions like Sony does with MediaTek chipsets. At least the two HDMI 2.1 ports available provide full 48 GB per second bandwidth in order to allow high frame rate gaming and all HDMI 2.1 gaming features. The HDMI 2.1 ports of the X90K support are ER, HFR, ALLM and VRR. With VRR, you should know that it is supported out of the box, something that applies for all 2022 models, but on the HDMI forum, VRR and G-Sync are available. FreeSync VRR is not supported. One thing that doesn't seem to change is the Ethernet port that for one more year will only support up to 100 MB per second, which is real shame, but not entirely surprising given the fact that all manufacturers still include 100 MB per second adapters in their TVs. I don't believe that upgrading these ports to GBT speeds would up the cost so much, and with streaming requirements increasing every single year, this change should have been made some time ago. And considering that the X90K comes with Bravia core, even more harsh to Sony for not updating their Ethernet adapters. The reason for this is because in order to access Bravia cores, highest quality pure stream available at 80 MB per second, you must have a minimum internet speed of 115 MB per second. So which TV you want to buy? Please write in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications update. Thanks for watching.